This is Chet Holmgren, and I'm down to dunk.
This is AJ Mitchell, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Alex Crusoe, and I'm down to dunk.
It's like baby bottle pop. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is Adam Flagler, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, it's Isaiah Hartenstein, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Kason Wallace, and I'm down to dunk.
I can't spell Lucas. Hey, how do you spell Lucas? How do you spell Lucas?
This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
This is Nikola Topic, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Dylan Jones, and I'm down to dunk. This is Isaiah Joe, and I'm down to dunk.
And there's probably like 50 to 75 Beanie Babies.
Give me like your top 3 Pokemon.
Brother, I can't even name.
This is Jay Will, and I'm down to dunk.
Sometimes the way his brain works is it leaves a lot to be desired.
This is Kenrich Williams, and I'm down to dunk.
Charmander.
Charmander.
Or are you more of a Charmeleon guy?
Charmeleon.
This is Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, and I'm down to dunk.
Schlecht. You know what
Schlecht?
it means? Yeah.
That means like bad.
It means bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's me.
Well, it was a good interview, so it wasn't bad.
J-Dub, year 3, and I'm down to dunk for the 3rd time. Thank you.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schlecht. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. Before we get to Al, I want to tell you about my good friends Aaron and Drew Reese. And it's funny, if you're tuning in on YouTube, it looks like I'm Aaron and Alex is Drew Reese with the way that the little banner is. So if you're watching on YouTube, you get a little treat there. By the way, I hit 10K on YouTube the other day, which was very exciting. Very exciting. Please give our friends Aaron and Drew a call today. 405-773-5500 and 405-478-7714 for Drew. And you can call or text them to get yourself covered because, boy, oh boy, storms are rolling in still. It's June, and it won't stop raining, won't stop thunderstorming. We're getting tornado warnings during the NBA Finals. It's a mess out here, and you need somebody that you can trust to cover you today. So give them a call, text, or you can email them, aruiz@shelterinsurance.com if you prefer email. That's your thing. But give them a call or text today and get yourself covered by the best in the business. With me is my good friend Alex Speers. Alex, what's up?
What's up, Ian Drew? Andrew, you're looking like a mustard guy today. Head to toe covered in mustard.
I got like some Dijon on my head. Mm-hmm. Just like your regular old just hot dog mustard on my shirt.
Do you remember Rab himself from Jackass, who was like deathly afraid of mustard?
Oh yeah, I forgot about.
They used to squirt him with.
I haven't thought about that in so long. This is my Salt Lake City T-shirt from All Star. They printed them on the spot for us.
Really?
Yeah.
Was that what Taylor was doing?
He was doing something like that. So. Just to before we talk about the NBA Finals, let me tell you about Taylor's All-Star Game experience. He was hired by Stance, the sock and clothing company.
Oh yeah.
To print live in their shop, and Taylor stayed with me in my hotel room, and like we got to hang out during All-Star. We got to go to Dwayne Wade's what was it, a Spades party, and he was printing shirts at the Spades party, and like all these crazy people were coming in and out of this place. It was bizarre.
Like the card game?
Yeah, they like had a tournament.
Oh.
Talked to Paolo Banchero's dad. I didn't know who he was. He told me my son just went through the draft process, and I was like, "Oh, who's your son?" Paolo Banchero. Oh, you mean the number 1 pick?
That's such a cool flex when you're just like so normal about it.
I was like, who's your son? And like thinking like, oh, maybe this is like a, late first rounder's dad or something, or I don't know. But it was not. It was not. I was like, oh, it's like, oh, I'm Johnny Davis's dad, Oh, I'm Ty Washington's dad. Like, no, this is the number 1 pick. NBA Finals, Al. How are you feeling this morning? The morning of Game 3, June 11th, 2025, before the Thunder play their first game in Indy. How are you feeling? Where are your feelings at this morning?
I've been listening to an absurd amount of podcasts, so many podcasts, and I would say I'm uncomfortable with how confident outsiders are.
Yeah.
Like especially like listening to Zach Lowe, just hearing him talk about the finals, because I still feel like the shooting variance isn't discussed enough with the Pacers. Like the run that they're on currently as a 3-point shooting team in these playoffs. Everyone talks about how amazing they are as comeback kings, just coming back in all these games down 20. And that's really been the focus. But if you look at some of their splits, like regular season to postseason, like this is actually beyond what we saw in 2023 with the Heat, when the Heat were the 8th seed and made the finals, and everyone was freaking out like, "Oh my gosh, Caleb Martin just caught lightning in a bottle," and this is crazy. I went back and looked. Okay, and by the way, this what made me think of this is a longtime dunker, Cole Profit, asked me a question about it. And he brought up the stat that there are 3 Pacers, like high volume 3-point shooting Pacers, who are shooting better from 3 than Steph Curry has ever shot in a playoff run, which just one of those like funny stats. Obviously, like Steph's threes are like way higher degree of difficulties, running off 1,000 screens and shooting crazy fadeaways and shooting it from half court. But Siakam, Nembhard, and Nesmith are all shooting higher than Steph has ever shot in a playoff run. Yeah. But if you go back and look at that Miami Heat team, so Caleb Martin jumped from a 36% shooter to a 42% shooter. Gabe Vincent went from 33% to 38%, and Duncan Robinson went from 33% to 44%. Now that one, like obviously we think of Duncan Robinson as a good shooter. That was the weird year where he was so bad in the regular season.
Right.
Everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, his contract is unmovable now." Yeah. And then he just like became Duncan Robinson again in the playoffs. But those guys like all had significant jumps. Caleb Martin was kind of like the poster child for it though, because especially in that Eastern Conference Finals, he was just absurd. I mean, I go back and look at his game logs from the Eastern Conference Finals. It's crazy. He's hitting like 4 threes every single night against the Celtics. Okay, so moving on to the Pacers, Siakam. So Caleb Martin, he had an increase in terms of percentage, 3-point percentage of 6.7%.
Yeah.
The Pacers have 3 guys of their like top 5 who have had that level of increase. Siakam has gone from 38.9 to 45%. Nembhard has gone from 29% to 45.7%. And Nesmith has gone from 43% to 49.5%.
Yeah, that's insane.
They're having such an incredible shooting run in these playoffs that is the only thing holding me back from being confident. Mm-hmm. Because when you're playing a team who's on that sort of run and could potentially have that sort of variance, especially when it's a team like OKC, who we've seen has been like, for the most part, not a great 3-point shooting team over these playoffs. Like that shooting variance could absolutely win them this series. Like they're going home. Their role players are going to be more comfortable. Like I'm fully expecting one of these next 2 games to be a game where the Pacers hit like 50% from 3. Now, I don't think that it's impossible that the Thunder could win a game like that, but I can't get where a lot of other people are with this series yet, simply because of the shooting variance and because of this. Like, did you know that the Pacers are 13-0 in these playoffs when they shoot 36% or better, and they are winless when they shoot below that, including Game 2.
Yeah,
like it has just been a huge part of their success in these playoffs, and I don't think it's going away. However, I do think the Thunder did a better job in Game 2 of changing what kind of threes they're getting.
Oh yeah, I mean Tyrese just can't get in the paint, and like that was the thing, especially against the Knicks, where they are able to find like the soft spot.
They are evil.
They are evil. These are evil people. If you didn't know, these Pacers. No, I actually think they're awesome. Like that's the thing about like being close to any of these guys is like, man, both teams are just full of awesome guys. But I think that Tyrese was able to find the soft spots in the defense against the Knicks and get to his spots, whether it was Towns or Brunson. Like he had 2 guys. If they could get Towns out on a switch, sweet. we're either going to find an easy shot in the paint, or we're going to be able to get the paint touch, collapse the defense, find the easy shot. If you can't collapse the defense because you can't get where you want to go, it makes it really hard to generate the right kinds of threes. And so if they just can't figure out a way, which is, I mean, Ant never figured it out, and I know Tyrese is a lot different than Ant as far as a player goes, but he's not as explosive as Ant is. And Ant really struggled to just get to his spots and find his way. And he just never did. And so I just wonder if Tyrese ever figures that out against the Thunder. If he does, then I think, I think we're in for a long series. If not, it'll be interesting to see where this all goes.
Yeah, that in game 2, the way it started out, I was like, oh man, because there was that play where I think Halliburton's driving on Kaysen. He's going to the right, and Dort leaves Neesmith in the corner.
Yeah.
To like dig in on Halliburton's drive, which like who cares? Like just let him drive. It's Kaysen on him. Like I'm just like not that worried about it. He passes to Neesmith wide open in the corner. He misses it, but it was like a wide open corner 3. And then a few plays later, they actually set a screen. Miles Turner set a screen on Kaysen that freed up, I think it was Nembhard in the corner, and that was a wide open 3, and he made it. But after that, I really felt like they did a much better job of closing out on those shooters. And I actually have a few stats to prove that, Andrew.
Ooh,
one, so NBA.com, they have their thing where like a shot is wide open, or tight. And I know that we can't like totally take this for, gospel, because I never like totally believe it. But if you just look at wide open threes, game 1 to game 2, 22 to 18. So a decrease in 4. These aren't like huge margins. It's not like it went from 22 to 10 or something. But then if you look at tight 3-pointers, so where a defender is within 1 or 2 feet, went from 3 in game 1 to 7 in game 2. Even like a little flip like that, where like 4 of their 3-point attempts are just a little more hurried, a little more closer, where the defender's a little bit closer. Like I think that can make a big difference, even though we're only talking about like 4 3-pointers. And the other really cool stat I found was threes taken with 4 seconds or left on the shot clock. In game 1, they only had 2 of those. They had 2 3-point attempts with 4 seconds or left on the shot clock. In game 2, they had 9, and they were 1 for 9 on those shots. So 9 of their 3-point attempts were taken with 4 seconds or left in the shot clock, which suggests usually that, like, honestly, just the fact that you're getting the Pacers to the end of the shot clock is a win. But for so many of their threes to come in that final 4 seconds, I think is huge too. And clearly, I think in general, those shots are going to be more rushed, more hurried. They're not going to be as high quality as the threes that the Pacers are going to generate earlier in the shot clock. So I do think they did a much better job defending the 3. As much as people talk about that being mostly based on luck, I do think they forced them into tougher threes. Even some of the threes that they did make, like one of the corner threes that they did make, because they were still 7 of 16 from the corners, was that Benedict Mathurin 3, where he basically like shot a fadeaway. Like it was a very difficult shot that he hit, and I think it was over like Shea or Dort, but he made it. Credit to him. But that's a tough 3-point attempt. Like I'll take that. If they can just stop giving up those like wide open Nembhard threes or wide open Neesmith threes, those are really the only ones that truly scare me.
Yeah, I totally get that. Yeah, I'm just rewatching some of Tyrese's. I was rewatching some of his possessions earlier, and I just he just had to basically he had like one wide open look, and it was that dunk that he had down the lane when they were down 22, like early in the 4th. Yeah, it was a very weird play. It was like Chet got switched onto Tyrese. Ben Shepherd is there trying to set a screen on Chet to get this like double screen action, and Aaron Wiggins just pushes Ben Shepherd into Chet, which then leaves no defender because Aaron wasn't switching. Aaron really should have switched over onto him to stop the drive, but instead he pushes Ben Shepherd into Chet, and like that's what led to the wide open dunk for him. Everything else was very contested. He had like one look where Isaiah Joe was guarding him that he was able to kind of get into the paint and score. And then he had that one dunk, and then he had a floater, and like that was it. Like that was like the extent of his like getting into the paint with ease. It was never with Dort on him. It was never with Kaysen on him. It was never with Caruso on him.
Well, you could tell early in that game, he pulled up for like a side logo three, like just randomly early in the shot clock. And I thought to myself, ooh, that's a good sign that he is like forcing that type of three just to like get a shot off.
Totally.
Just to, like get the ball rolling for himself. He has to take that type of shot. And yeah, it really didn't open up until that fourth quarter where he scored the majority of his points, and it really didn't matter at that point. But yeah, they've done like an incredible job on him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's mentioned by AJ 55916 in the chat. The Pacers hit 50% from three in game one and only won by 1 point. And won on like a crazy, crazy shot in transition. I mean, like, yeah, they did have a shot variance game, and it did win them the game, which is just all that matters. It's not like I'm sitting here saying like it wasn't a win. It was definitely you won game one in the NBA Finals. Like you
think about it, all those 20-point comebacks, those were all the same way. Like those were all shooting variance games because they shot over 36%. I
guess the point is from me and from AJ 55916 is that like even when you have shot variance, like the margin is so thin for them.
Yeah.
It's not like the Thunder. Like if the Thunder shot 50% from three, they would win by 30 every time.
And that'd be great. And they should consider doing it.
Hey, listen, Mark, new strategy. Just make half your threes. And then
honestly,
just don't have to worry about it.
If Presti came out postseason press conference, said, "Hey, this is our new plan," I'd be so pumped, Andrew. I'm so sick of this team shooting the like brickiest threes in the world. Like every game, there's like 5 shots that are just so way off in such a weird, strange way.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how is this possible? All you guys are decent shooters, decent to good shooters. You all shoot a decent number of threes, game to game. And yet every game I'm seeing balls like barely graze the rim. Like obviously Dort always is good for one that's just like really goofy, like hits off way off high off the backboard or something.
Yeah. We even had Shea threes that have been like what's happening here?
Yeah.
And Shea's actually shot it well from three so far in the series. He's 40%.
That corner three, that was like the most exciting Shea three ever. It's so rare.
It is rare
to see that in the wild. To see a Shea corner three. It's so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. We do have a super chat from Josie Cook. Says, do you guys remember calling Pascal an NBA? Yes. You guys and Pascal have come a long way.
Dude, he was the original.
He's the OG NBA smart guy. I feel like Kaysen Wallace is probably an NBA smart guy.
Yeah, and for people who didn't listen to us back then, just the idea of a guy who like only people who follow the NBA very closely and who have strong opinions about like 10th men on rosters would ever talk about this guy. Once upon a time, that was Pascal.
Oh yeah. Pascal's averaging like 9 points and 4 rebounds. And it's like, this guy he's next. He's up next, Yeah.
And now we do that.
I feel like Kaysen is that guy, and he's that good. And that's the thing. It's like a lot of times with the NBA smart guy like Pascal, like there's a lot of truth to it,
Yeah, sometimes they're right.
Sometimes they're wrong. I think that Juancho Hernangomez was another.
Dude, that was just the name I was about to say.
Really? Yeah. Like that was like the ultimate one. I remember because the Thunder didn't take him. And at the time, like I was listening to Dunked On a lot. Shout out to Nate Duncan and Danny LaRue. But they would mention once a podcast just about how the Thunder didn't take him. It felt like.
Yeah.
They just like sprinkle it in here and there. Well, if they just would have taken Juancho Hernangomez instead of Domantas Sabonis, think about where the Thunder would be. It was almost like they were Juancho Hernangomez away from winning the title. With those.
Another classic is KJ McDaniels.
KJ McDaniels is a big one. Started by Bill Simmons, by the way.
I know. Yeah, he compared him to Scottie Pippen.
He was like, "You had Scottie Pippen just sitting right there."
To be fair, that was the draft that they took Josh Eustace. So, like, I understand why people were bringing up names like KJ McDaniels.
Yeah. Eustace, like, in hindsight, makes more sense than I think the most. And this came up the other day. I won't say the context of how it came up, but Mitch McGary came up pregame before game 2 in like a little media.
Oh, Andrew was lighting up before the game.
And it was Mitch McGary is easily the most perplexing draft pick ever for the Thunder. Like,
for the Thunder?
Yeah. There's no question. Because, like, Eustace, he has like all the markings of a Thunder player. Like he has long arms. He's got and the personality is very Thundery. Like all of it makes sense when you put it all together. Like you can like see like Presti and his guys sitting down with a meeting with Josh Eustace, be like, this guy's amazing. Like we think he's a good enough basketball player, and the personality is definitely where we want it to be. McGary is like, I don't know how you sit down and talk to that guy. Luke and I at our first media day talked to a rookie Mitch McGary, and the guy was a space cadet. He
was cool.
It was amazing. And like,
but you do understand like the on court fit. Like he's very like new Thundery.
Sure.
Although
good
I don't
passer,
know how
good rebounder. I think if McGary had his head on straight, he probably would have shot a lot of threes.
He was kind of like a proto Sabonis pick for them.
Yes. We don't have to talk any more about Mitch McGary after this.
Yes, we do.
But that game against the Clippers, in my head he had like 40 and 20, but he was probably like 18 and 10 or something. But it just felt like, oh my gosh, what, like Presti did it again. Like I would probably be embarrassed to look at my tweets.
It would be fun. How we talked about this summer, maybe rewatching some old Thunder games.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be fun to go watch like his best game.
We do a McGary live stream.
Yeah, because originally I was thinking, we should watch like some famous playoff games. But now I'm like, maybe we should watch.
We should just go back and like just watch highlights of guys like McGary and Poku. And
I want to rewatch that Perry Jones game against the Lakers.
The Perry Jones game. Yeah, we should go back and watch some like Perry Jones, Jeremy Lamb highlights. Stream them for like 10 people that are interested,
I think a lot of people would be interested. Because especially younger fans, they probably don't even know what it was like getting hyped about these guys.
So the Athletic, our video people at the Athletic did a video about like who are these, like, can you name these Thunder players? And it was like, start with J-Dub, and then it went the final boss for this video was Alex Abrinas.
Oh, really?
No one had any idea who Alex Abrinas was.
Not a soul. Was it all younger kids? Was there anyone?
They were like in their 20s, like people in their 20s. Didn't have any idea who Alex Abrinas was.
That's crazy.
That blew my mind. Sam Wong wants us to talk about the finals. Sam Wong says he gives us $5, and he's basically like, "Hey, will you please talk about the finals instead of Mitch McGary and Alex Abrinas, please?" And I'm like, "Yes, we can. Let's steer the ship back." What changes do the Pacers make, and how does OKC counter in Indiana?
I mean, I think the biggest thing for the Pacers is like they have to get Siakam going again.
Yeah,
because he was one of the best players on the court in game 1.
Yep.
And it was shocking on rewatch how much of a non-factor he was in game 2. And I say shocking because a lot of these possessions, it's like Shea on him or Isaiah Joe on him.
Yeah.
And credit to Shea. I mean, one of his, probably the highlight defensive play, actually he had multiple highlight defensive plays, but the play where he pulled the chair on Siakam, like just an incredible play. But like they could not get the ball to him.
Yeah.
In advantageous spots. I will say, like, maybe getting Siakam on the move in space more, because he is kind of scary when he would kind of like in semi-transition, get the ball heading towards the rim. That was where a lot of good stuff happened. But if you look at his touches from game 1 to game 2, 60 to 48, his front court touches went from 33 to 25, and yet he had the same time of possession, meaning that he's like still had the ball, but he was holding on to it for longer.
Yeah.
He wasn't making as quick of decisions. So they have to figure out some way to get him going again, because he was like borderline dominant during stretches in game 1. And I do think part of that was getting to play against some of those like super small ball lineups.
Yeah. Yes.
Where he was just able to
like, he got to dominate the boards. He only had
he
had 7 boards in this one, which is like it's a normal game. It's not like it was a bad game, but it's just like a normal Siakam game.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 3 of 11. You know.
And I give the Thunder a lot of credit for that, because like Shea was fighting him on the block, like not letting them make entry passes to him.
Yeah, that play you mentioned where he pulled the chair on it was so great, because like Pascal likes to do that. He likes to back guys down, especially if they're smaller, and he let him like bang 1, bang 2, and then he went for the basically for the knockout to get to the rim, and Shea just whoop go right by, and he just backpedaled, let's try not to fall over. Took 3 steps and just a matter of seconds. I mean, that was really smart for Shea.
I think they have to force feed him more, especially I don't know if they're going to play Isaiah Joe again, because he didn't play in the second half.
Yeah.
But if there's ever a possession where Isaiah Joe is on Siakam, I don't care where Siakam is on the court, just get him the ball, because a lot of those points were when it was the bench units anyway. So Haliburton wasn't even on the court, so it's TJ McConnell, which by the way I thought they did a really good job of making TJ McConnell feel like he needed to do more than he probably should.
Yeah.
And they also stuck Caruso on him a decent amount, who just completely shut him down. But those bench units, which I've felt going back to the beginning of the series, this is where OKC should dominate.
Yeah.
I mean, if you compare these bench units, OKC has such an upper hand here. And game 2 was the first point in that first half where it really felt like it. I think I remember, I think the stat was they were -4 when Haliburton was through his first rotation, and then they were -12 when Haliburton sat and that second unit came in.
Yeah.
I do feel that's where OKC needs to make their runs, or where it should be the easiest to make their runs. You can't be getting killed by TJ McConnell and Thomas Bryant and this bench mob. But yeah, they have to involve Siakam more, because if Haliburton's not going to be scoring 30 points like he did in some games during these playoffs, it has to be Siakam.
Yeah.
How else are they going to score enough points?
I don't know. I mean, and they're a team that kind of spreads the love a little bit. Do you know who took the most shots on the Pacers in game 2?
Was it? I don't. Was it Nembhard?
It was actually Tyrese Haliburton.
Oh, it was Haliburton. Yeah, I guess that makes sense, because he took so many at the end. But
it seems still shocking to me.
How many did he have through 3 quarters?
A minute earlier, I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
I mean, through 3 quarters, he had only. I mean, in the fourth quarter, he took 6 shots in the fourth quarter. So,
yeah,
and it was 5 of 6. But the game was already pretty much over at that point. So yeah, I mean, that's just weird. But it's hey, Nesmith took 12, Siakam took 11, Turner took 12, Nembhard only took 8. That's a win for OKC, because he was 4 of 8, and he's somebody that can get going. But it was, I mean, they just weren't allowing easy looks like they did in game 1. It just felt like there were hardly any easy threes for them. And so I wonder how they adjust to that, because that's their ticket to beating the Thunder, is taking and making a lot of threes. And I don't know that there's another answer beyond that, because I don't think they have anybody that can go create and make something. I mean, I just don't know that there's anybody has the ability to go for 40 on this squad at this point, against Kaysen, against Caruso. I just don't think anybody's got that. It's just about, can we generate enough good open threes? And they took away Obi Toppin, from the game. I thought that was
Thank God.
pretty important. Was like
Can't lose to Obi Toppin.
we are not going to allow anybody, Obi to shoot like that. He made his first three. I don't know if you remember that.
I do, because I was like, Chet, what are you waiting for? Just go up closer. Like he was expecting to drive.
Tied the game at 17. And then his next three, like J-Dub contests it and he kind of flies by him. And then Obi like pump fakes, sidestep, takes the three again. And Wiggins is like right in his grill.
Yeah.
So like they just were not going to allow him to get going and to take open threes, which I thought was obviously a point, made. And even Kenrich blocked one of his threes at one point, which was impressive. I love Kenrich minutes. I feel like he's somebody that needs to play in this series. Like he didn't score in this one, but I felt like his minutes just felt really impactful because he can play the 4 or the 5 for you. And so I do think that it's important to give Kenrich minutes in this series.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how Mark does his rotation moving forward, because I feel like as bad as moments have been during these playoffs with Mark, I feel like you always get a like good bounce back game where you like feel confident again in Mark almost immediately. Yeah. And the way he used his rotation in game 2, playing more minutes to Aaron Wiggins, like giving a couple more minutes to Hartenstein, and then not playing Isaiah Joe in the second half, like trying him out, seeing if anything would work. Although credit to Joe, that was a pretty awesome finish at the rim he had.
Yeah, it was.
When Hartenstein passed him open.
Yeah.
With Hartenstein, like I think he's so important for this offense against the Pacers because of his passing.
No doubt.
Like they need his passing so badly.
Yeah.
That even if there are some advantages the Pacers get on the other end just by getting him into space, like I like him playing more than 17 minutes. I mean, he played 22 in game 2, but had 4 assists. And I feel like all of them were like beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, the one he had to Caruso out on the wing, we just like shoveled it off as he was running a by, wide open Caruso 3. Like this team just needs that. I mean, I'm sure you saw the stat that like the number of passes they had in game 1 was their lowest of the season of like any game they had played this year, the Thunder. And it's not like they got so many more passes in game 2, but their offense just looks so much more fluid.
Yeah, I think he could even become like more important scoring wise too. He hasn't really scored in this series. Like his floater has not been there. And
True.
It kind of went away against Minnesota. And I don't know if it's like a confidence thing or if it's like teams are just trying to take that away.
Which is weird because he's shooting 85% on it. You know?
They should go to it every time.
Yeah.
He should be scoring 50 a game on that floater. Yeah, I'm glad we have. Have you heard that stat on the broadcast?
not recently, but
okay, good.
I'll never forget it.
I'll never forget. I'll never forget turning around to somebody at Medis here in OKC and telling them that is not accurate. Please don't take that one to the bank. Man, let's take a break and then we'll come back. I want to talk about Alex Caruso because he's outrageously important to this team. We'll be right back. And we're back after that quick break. This episode is brought to you by our good friends at Bob Moore Kia. There's me and my family standing in front of the Kia Sorrento that we're driving around. I don't think we'll be driving this one around for very much longer, from what I understand. We'll be getting a new one, and I'll give you a little updated photo of the Kia that we're driving around right now. But go visit our good friends at Bob Moore Kia today on Northwest Expressway in between Rockwell and Council. The people there are incredible. Somebody even came by and brought me, let's see, here they are, a bunch of Shea MVP posters. Just came by my house and brought me some of these Shea MVP posters from the good people at Bob Moore Kia. I might give some of those away on Twitter or something at some point because they're very, very cool. Great people. They love the Thunder. They support Down to Dunk, and they've got some good deals on some Kias. You can get 1.9% for 60 months with $500 summer sticker event, bonus cash on select 2025 Sorrentos, which I would definitely recommend the Sorrento, with approved credit through KFA. 2025 Kia K4 EX, which is a very, very cool car. $3,499 down, $239 for 24 months. And this is an equipped K4 Kia. You get $1,000 bonus cash for current EV owners and 1.9 for 48 months. And then the summer sticker event bonus cash, get $500 in bonus cash on select Sportages, Sorrentos. Got to go check it out. Please tell them that Down to Dunk sent you. Just go test drive a Kia. If you've never considered a Kia, which I'd probably be in that category before I drove the Sorrento. I don't know that I was considering a Kia, but I would just challenge you to consider driving a Kia today. Just go test drive it. Tell them Down to Dunk sent you. Go test drive one, see what you think, and I promise you, you'll love it because I've fallen in love with this Kia Sorrento. Okay, Al, let's talk about Alex Caruso. I don't think we mentioned his name yet, but the guy, I mean, in this game, he was ridiculous. He had 20 points, 3 boards, an assist. He doesn't have a steal recorded on here, although I feel like he needs to be credited with like 70.
He should start each game with a steal in the box score.
I think it's only fair.
Yeah.
It's only fair because it's going to happen. Clearly the scoring was a huge deal for him in this one, but he will impact the game no matter what. He was 6 of 11 from the field, 4 of 8 from 3. But the guy is just helping lead this team in so many ways. When he comes into the game, the crowd is like immediately like, all right, let's bump it up a level. We got to bump it up a level for Alex Caruso, which is very cool to see and to hear. The crowd was ridiculous, by the way, and Caruso just amps that up even more. But man, this thought has like crossed my mind so many times, and I don't know what the answer is to it, but like, what if Josh Giddey was just like, you know what? I think the idea of coming off the bench is a great idea.
I don't believe that. I still don't believe that story.
I think that the 6th man of the year is something that I would like to go for. And I'd love to come off the bench, Sam Presti and friends.
I want to not believe that would happen.
I know. We can talk more about that what if later, but it's so that trade and getting AC on this team is like one of the most important things to happen to the Thunder ever, in my opinion. Because I don't know that they're here in the finals with this team without him. Like,
if they are, like, it completely changes what the Pacers do offensively, because Giddey would be like the most obvious target in the world defensively on this team.
Yeah. We would have Mark leaning over to one of his assistant coaches saying, "Can't play Giddey. Can't play
Maybe.
Giddey." You know,
and they probably wouldn't be able to. Like, it really would be tough.
It happened last year. It happened against the Mavericks. I mean, that trade and getting that guy in this building, as obviously the player is extremely important because he's able to. I mean, he's guarded everybody from Jokic to Tyrese Halliburton. Like he's a true I can guard 1 through 5 kind of guy, which is very rare in the league, even though we talk about it a lot. And the leadership that he provides and the steadiness that he provides to this team as somebody who's actually been here before cannot be understated. And on the NBA Daily Pod yesterday with S and Marcus Thompson, I recommend you go listen to that. It was great. Like, those guys were great. It's always great to hear Marcus Thompson because Marcus has been around for so long and covered the Warriors when they were horrible up through their dynasty. And we've made this comp before, but it was just cool to hear Marcus talk about the Andre Iguodala comp and like how important that acquisition was to the Warriors as like a veteran. And because that was a very young team in 2015, that wasn't an old team.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of parallels to draw between those two and what they provide, because like they both provide crazy defense. They provide like secondary playmaking. They both can stick an open three. It's just cool to see that, and I just don't think the Thunder would be close to this. Like they I mean, if you had Giddey in there for Caruso, like I don't know they get past Denver. They took them all the way to Game 7, and Caruso's the guy that I think you can point to in so many instances that he was a catalyst to this team like getting over the hump or like figuring it out. His importance cannot be overstated at this point. Like he is one of the most important players on this roster, and to have him, his leadership, him as like a coach on the floor, I mean, I don't know. It's incredible what he's been able to accomplish, especially after such a weird regular season.
Do you remember the Max Kellerman clip from that year in Golden State where they were asked if you had one shot to like save humanity, would you take Steph or Iguodala? And Max Kellerman said, "Give me Iguodala." we need a clip like that for Alex Caruso. Alex Caruso versus Shea. Who you got?
Listen,
Caruso.
Yeah, I need Alex Caruso taking the shot to save humanity. At this point, I mean, I would trust him. I think he would save humanity.
If people haven't watched it, Thinking Basketball did a breakdown of OKC's defense in Game 2.
Yeah.
You can watch on YouTube. But it's really cool because a lot of those plays he's highlighting are showing the value of Caruso in a way that I just don't notice in the moment. Especially he has several like transition defense plays where it's the camera on the basket.
Yeah.
And you see how Caruso's directing everyone as they're running backwards down the court, like telling who should go pick up who, switching on to different guys. He really is like the maestro of this defense. Like I feel like it all starts with him. He is the reason they have gone from like a great defense to an historical defense.
Mm-hmm.
So go check that out because it really is amazing. Like some of the things he recognizes in a split second on some of these defensive plays and adjusts. Like it is crazy. Like he kept talking about Ben Taylor kept talking about the ant quote about like 15 puppets on a string.
Yeah.
And some of these defensive possessions that he shows and like diagrams, like player by player, what they're doing. It really makes you appreciate it even more than you always can like during a live play, realizing how many different decisions all five guys are making on one play, and a lot of that is being kind of orchestrated by Caruso.
Yeah, I'd recommend anything Ben Taylor does. Honestly, that guy is so good. He's so good. His pod is really fun, and then like obviously anything on YouTube he does, which is like almost like documentary style, like going back and watching like some of these games and breaking it down in a way that you wouldn't have seen. I mean, for sure.
And conveys the information in a way that's like very accessible. Like anyone could watch that video and understand what he's trying to tell you.
It's a mark of like a great teacher,
Yeah.
You can make these things that are pretty complicated, but like, I wouldn't say dumbs it down, but like you said, conveys it in a way that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so back to the super chat, like OKC adjustments, one thing I thought they did in Game 2 better than Game 1 is just forcing Halliburton to do more defensively.
Yeah.
And Caitlin Cooper did a great job of highlighting that on her pod, these like ram screens where they would bring, usually he was guarding Cason Wallace. So they would have Cason Wallace come up to be Shea's screener. But in the process of doing that, they would set a screen on Halliburton, like around the basket, just to slow him down a little bit, just making him work off ball a little bit more instead of just putting Cason Wallace in the corner and letting Tyrese just hang out there. I mean, the one thing that they could do is run more zone, because at least in zone, like Tyrese can just kind of hang out in the corner a little bit. And you're not being forced to run through screens and then have to potentially switch on to Shea. But I think they only ran it 3 possessions in game 2.
Yeah.
And so I just don't know how much more they really would run it.
I think they'd welcome that. I think the Thunder would welcome that. I mean, they
Yeah.
showed what they can do with a team that doesn't really play a lot of zone against Minnesota. They're like, please, we've had so many reps at this now over the course of 7 games with Denver that we would be glad if you would do it, because you can find the weak spots in that zone. It was hard. It's hard to find the weak spots in that Denver zone for whatever reason, but I feel like they did start to figure it out. And I think Denver did the Thunder. I think the Thunder, they did the Thunder a pretty big favor, and like just giving them so many different reps was like, there's not really something you can throw at this team, and you just kind of just have to pray that like, hey, nobody's hitting from 3, which has happened, before.
Yeah.
This one, a super chat from Avnips, Avnips. I don't know. He says, "What can J-Dub do to be more efficient tonight, or is it simply making shots?" He said he was at the legendary Mitch McGarry double game. Steven Adams nailed a one-handed free throw in that game. Wow!
See, we got to watch that.
Shout out. That's a rewatch. That's an August pod for sure.
Yeah, I'm like a little worried about J-Dub, not defensively, because he's been awesome defensively. Like going back to talking about Siakam, like he does a really good job on Siakam. I'm a little worried just because he's like fumbling the ball more than I've seen him fumble the ball. Especially happened in that first quarter, and I don't even know if he had a turnover, but it just like catching the ball, holding on to it. He just like didn't look as comfortable. And in game 1, it just felt like his touch was off.
Yeah.
Now what was so nice about game 2 was, even though that was still largely the case, he was still inefficient. He at least was able to get to the line a ton for J-Dub. I mean, 9 free throws is incredible for J-Dub.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, I'm hoping that we just see one of those J-Dub games, just kind of like out of the blue, where he's just pulling up in the mid-range, getting to his spots like we saw in the Minnesota series. But there's like a little voice in the back of my head just wondering about like his wrist, because I know he's had it wrapped, and I just don't know if that's like affecting him in any way. We haven't obviously heard any like concrete details about what happened to that wrist, why it's wrapped. But I just thought offensively he just hasn't looked like comfortable dribbling and getting to the rim in quite the same way. He still had flashes though, so that's why I'm wondering, like, will we just randomly see a great J-Dub game?
Yeah, he definitely had some moments. Most of the shots I didn't mind, and I think some of it too is like off the drives. He's got to just be a little bit better, and just like better with his decision making in those moments. Like he had some open threes that he just like flat missed, but it's like I don't know quite what to do with that. He's like right wing threes that he just missed. Like at the beginning of the game, like he drove to the hoop and got blocked by Halliburton, and there was where he got blocked by, who was it? Somebody else blocked him as well. I think it was Siakam that got him. It's like he just has to be better in those moments, like with his decision making and what he's going to do, and not just like be hell bent on like driving in those moments. But I don't know, down the stretch, like he extended the lead to 22 on a jumper where he like very much like he was going right actually, which is not totally a J-Dub thing, but like going right on Siakam and getting to his spot. But there were just a lot of open threes that look good. It's not like he like airballed them or anything that just kind of went in and out, that you just know that like some of those will go down. Like I think he had basically 3 open threes that just didn't go down. And so I'm not that worried about him.
On some of those drives, you go back and watch, like there's a guy wide open in the corner.
Yeah.
Because they're collapsing on Dub so much. So if he rewatches that and realizes that, I mean, he had 5 assists in that game, but there's no reason he can't be spraying to shooters as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot of room.
I do too. I mean, if we get a good Dub game, because it feels like every game is going to be a good Shea game at this point, especially against this team. Like, I just don't think they have an answer for Shea at all.
No, I mean Nemhard, who apparently is called Drew. Have you heard this?
No, that's his nickname.
No, like people just call him Drew.
Oh, okay.
I was unaware of this. But anyways, like he felt a lot more. He felt like he was pretty comfortable against Nemhard in that game, and especially comfortable in this game against Benedict Matherin. He was like welcoming, like Matherin, come on, like let's go. Like Matherin's on him. He's like, I'm gonna get him in jail, and I'm gonna get to the hoop, or I'm gonna take a mid-range jumper that will feel wide open.
And I feel like they were better at targeting in game 2 as well. Like whether it was Halliburton or Toppin, or like when Thomas Bryant was in the game, like getting him on an island against Shea, like they were pretty successful getting whatever matchup they wanted against Shea.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not worried about that, which means that like if we do get a good dub game, it could be like a blowout game.
Yeah.
Or you just need him to make up, because you're not going to get like the bench production that you got in game 2 every single night. I mean, 38 points between Caruso and Wiggins. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, usually that would be filled by a good dub game.
Yeah.
So he's going to have a good game at some point in this series.
I think he will. I think that he'll have a chance in one of these games in Indy. And if he does play well, I think it's just over. You know, we haven't had like a crazy Dub or Chet game. You know, like
yeah, definitely not crazy though. I do think Chet was pretty awesome in game 2.
He was much better. He just didn't take a ton of shots.
No, but he came out so much more aggressive.
Kind of scared me a little bit with how aggressive he was at the very beginning. There were just moments where it's like, oh no, like he's really like trying to force us a little bit. Even that first shot that he took, where the first one gets blocked, and then he's able to get the offensive rebound and put it back, was like, oh my gosh, like that. It kind of freaked me out a little bit how much he was kind of pressing. But to see him hit that first 3 that put them back up after the Thunder went down, you know, in that game early in the first quarter, and it just felt like, oh no, like this is going to be nip and tuck the whole game, and it's going to be nerve wracking, and it's going to be insane in here. There was a Pacers fan sitting courtside, and like I'm sitting in the corner of 108, like down close to the floor, and it's like you can see like line of sight, like part of it is like the people that are on courtside, and this Pacers fan is just going berserk anytime like something big happened. And during that first quarter, the guy is just up and jumping around the whole time, like going nuts. And just feel like, oh no, I'm gonna have to watch this guy all night, you know, go crazy for his team. But then the 19-2 run was really the game. Like that was like the Thunder avalanche, and the game was pretty much over from there. I know the Pacers fought back and got it down like 8 or something, but the Thunder were just able to respond. And Mark talked a lot about the Pacers, you know, after the game, and just said it was like they're a hard team to know how to play against. Like they're not a normal team. Like we haven't played against them a lot. We played against them a couple times. He said like they're an acquired taste or something like that. And it's I think that's an interesting point, just because it was like, okay, we have to kind of figure out how we play against them, because they never played against them with Chet, and they never really had, you know, all their guys. They killed them in the regular season, and they did this similar stuff to Halliburton that they're doing now, where they're able to just kind of shut down his scoring pretty easily with their personnel. But it's just interesting, like hearing Mark talk about that, because I do think they've figured some stuff out defensively about them that has been helpful. And then just rotation wise, like I'll always just look back at that game 1 and just think, man, like what was happening, you know, because the game 2 felt like, okay, this feels like a playoff rotation. But yeah. But the game 1 was just, it just felt strange. Like they went too small. Like they started to give advantages to the Pacers small ball with the way that they're playing lineups. It was just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, if you go look at the 5-man lineup data, like that super small lineup is really the only one that's been bad for
Yeah.
OKC. Like the starting lineup got all that press after game one. And I think if you were going to make that argument, it would just be not that lineup in particular, but the trickle down effects and how like Mark was trying to figure out the rest of the rotation as a result of changing the starting lineup, because the starting lineup itself, they've won their minutes in both games at the start of the game.
Yeah.
In fact, if you look at the like advanced numbers on the 5-man lineups, like the advanced numbers on the Pacers starting lineup isn't good right now. I think it's like a -9 or something.
Oh, wow.
And they're not getting like killed in those minutes or anything, but like I think the starting lineup makes sense to me. It still makes sense.
Yeah.
I know some people saw that as like, oh my gosh, like you're the 68 win team and you're already adjusting. But I think if he had just played a normal lineup, like a normal rotation, if he had played his game 2 rotation, I don't think we would ever be talking about that starting lineup.
No, I think that we'd be talking about what a genius move it was if they would have. And it's not the AJ stuff. It was really, to me, it was like the super small ball, like we talked about down the stretch. I think that's what killed them. And so I do think that, yeah, just play normal rotations. And when they do play the double big, it's situational. You know, it's like Thomas Bryant's in the game. Let's get the two bigs out there. Let's destroy him. And I think that they have to kind of figure out what to do out there without. I mean, Turner's been outrageously important to them. And I think like they have to figure out whenever Miles Turner isn't out there what they do. I think is a really big question for them. So, okay, Al. Predictions, thoughts. Game 3?
I don't want to make any predictions.
Okay.
I don't want to. I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, "Oh, I'm so confident they're going to win both games. They'll come back 3-1." I would say I'm expecting a 2-2 return.
Okay.
I'm expecting a crazy shooting game in one of these games from the Pacers that will almost single-handedly win them the game, and then I think we see like another comfortable Thunder win, and then we come back 2-2 for Game 5.
Feels the most likely outcome. That feels like the most likely outcome. I just can't. I can't kick my own confidence. Even Game 1 didn't totally destroy me.
I know that's what everyone's saying. I mean, I appreciate the confidence. You know, like Zach Lowe feels that way. Michael Pena felt that way.
Yeah,
they're all saying the same thing. Like, no, didn't change my opinion at all. And I hope that's true. I mean, people are talking about different examples, whether it's like the 2001 finals.
I know
with AI. Man, I remember watching that game with my dad because that was my team.
Yeah,
before the Thunder existed, and feeling like, in fact, I'm gonna butcher the quote, but I was listening to or watching Caitlin Cooper and Samson Folk, and Samson brought up the Steve Nash quote, how like when you win in the playoffs, it feels like you're never going to lose again. And when you lose in the playoffs, it feels like you're never going to win again.
Yeah.
And that truly is how every pod after these games feels like.
Definitely.
Like after game 2, every pod is like, oh yeah, I mean, OKC's clearly the better team. Like they could still win in 5. Like, but then after game 1, it's like, what's wrong with the Thunder? And I feel that as a fan too.
Yeah.
Like when they have lost in these playoffs, it does feel like, I mean, I don't know if they're ever going to win again.
Dude, when they lost game 6 against Denver.
Yeah.
That was a particularly like a huge gut punch. You know?
Especially coming off of game 5 where you're like, okay, we got this.
I know.
Series wrapped up. We figured it out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a great quote to bring up because it has felt like that all along the way. Even though I think from the outsiders, it doesn't necessarily feel that way. Yeah. I thought Michael Pena was great on the pod. I got to see him here in OKC. I like that guy a lot. I think
it's fun when your team wins and there's just like all this good content about your team and how good they are.
It's great.
Very nice.
It's so nice. It's so nice. We may or may not have a live pod tonight, by the way. So
yeah, if the Pacers shoot 60% from 3, we will not be having a emergency pod.
To hop on live just for the Pacers fans to drink our tears there.
Unless the Thunder shoot 70%.
Hey, you know what? I would try it.
Hey, we're still waiting for the Isaiah Joe game.
We are waiting for the Isaiah Joe game.
Is it ever going to happen? Wouldn't that be nice?
Feels unlikely.
There's no reason he can't have a game where he hits 6 threes in a game.
I'd say do it tonight. If I were giving advice, I should do
Let's
that
see.
tonight.
I'm going to look up during the season. How many games do you think he hit 5 threes?
Oh, 13?
Very close. 10.
Okay.
10 of 74. He can do it.
He can
I
do
still
it.
believe in you, Isaiah Joe. Kind of.
Nice little caveat there. Kind of.
I just want to see one go down. God, that was such a killer. His first 3 was like wide open in game 2.
You know what the
I was
most
like,
threes he's made in a game in the playoffs?
3.
It's 4. It was,
But that was in the blowout.
It was in the Denver blowout, which
Yeah.
is just,
His best games have been in the blowouts because he had another good game in the in the Memphis series.
yeah, he was 3 of 6 against Memphis in game.
Although I guess that was
4.
the closeout game. That was his best game
Yeah, that was
because
definitely.
that was a 2-point win.
He was 3 of 3 in a blowout win against Minnesota. He was 2 of 5 in a blowout win against Memphis. 2 of 3 in a Oh, that wasn't a blowout win. That was game 3. That was the comeback, like the big time comeback. He was 3, and then he hasn't made more than. I mean, he's 1 of 5 against Memphis, and then against Denver in a blowout was 1 of 1.
And to be clear, still shooting 38% from 3 for the playoffs, which doesn't feel that way at all.
No, it doesn't at all.
But that makes me feel like, okay, it's not like he's fallen off a cliff. Like he's still
19
shooting
of
well in these
50.
playoffs.
Yeah, 19 of 50.
So there's no reason we can't have an Isaiah Joe game.
There's no reason.
It just hasn't happened yet. And I just feel like we need him or someone else, and maybe it ends up being Wiggins again. But
God, Wiggs is so good.
I know there's going to be a game where they hit like 23s, and just to keep it close in terms of the 3-point differential, somebody's going to have to step up.
Yeah. Yeah, they hit the exact same amount of threes in game 2. 14 makes for OKC, 14 for Indiana.
Yeah. Man, I hope that Wiggins game was not like just a one-off, because if we got regular season Wiggins, like second half Wiggins in this series, like it's over. It's over.
And it would feel amazing for it to be him. That's the thing that is like the Thunder fans knew how special it was to have Aaron Wiggins be the guy to go off like that. It was just very fun.
And I think it's significant. He played 26 minutes in that game 1, very first game of the playoffs against Memphis, the blowout, 131-80. That game 2 against Indiana was the second highest minutes he's played at 20 minutes. The only other time he's crossed 20 minutes in these playoffs other than game 1 against Memphis. So I would love for him to be like the adjustment in this series. Like we look back, starting with game 2, like, oh man, Mark consistently started playing Wiggins.
Yeah.
And he became that 6-man scorer off the bench that we were talking about that whole second part of the season. That guy averaged 25 minutes a game and almost 15 points per game after the All-Star break. That guy is in there.
He's there. It feels like a team that he could do this against consistently as well, just given the opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. If he's your 5th man, I mean, that one of those plays where he like shakes Halliburton, one of the takeaways from that is like, dude, if that's the player that Halliburton has to guard, like that's like the 5th guy on the court, that's such a huge advantage for OKC, because you actually have to guard Wiggins. Like Wiggins can attack closeouts really well. He can finish at the rim. He can hit threes. Like that is the sort of player that they need in this series coming off the bench. So I hope game 2 is the turning point. We'll see what happens tonight.
It would make things a lot easier.
and Aaron Wiggins saved basketball, that whole thing. Like if it won them a title because they start playing him 20 minutes a night and he's really good, it'd be true, Andrew.
It'd be true.
It'd be true.
God, it'd be great. It'd be so great. Thanks so much for listening to our show today. Please go subscribe to us on YouTube. We got a ton of people watching right now. NBA Finals and Mitch McGarry pod as well, somehow. Please go like this video right now. Leave like an actual comment on the video, and hopefully we'll be talking to you guys tonight. If not, we'll talk to you guys again on Friday.